And so for me, life is full of ups and downs. And I feel like everything that happens in my life, it happens for me. It's not happening to me. And whatever happens to me, I get to explain to people that this life is not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. You're going to take some wins. You're going to take some losses, but oftentimes this is survival of the fittest, and how you respond to these losses that determine the person that you get to be. The resilience that you show toward people inspires other people because we're all experiencing wins and losses, and some people don't know how to deal with them. Some people give up at these points, and I'm a person that refuses to give up. I'm a person that wants the best for everybody, not just me. And the things that I do in my life, and the, committees that I serve on, it's all about bringing people together. And for me, I feel like that's my life's mission, and I'll keep on going. I'll keep on taking the wins. I'll keep on learning from the losses, but I'll continue trying to be the best person that I get to be for the time that I get to live here on earth.
Hi, welcome to the Elite Leader Podcast. My name is 𝐊𝐲 your host, and today I bring a fascinating interview to you so you can get to the next level of strategic leadership knowing this amazing human being called Herbert Flytime Lang. He's a world ambassador, an active speaker, actor, entrepreneur, motivator, and author. Herb Time is an 18-year former player and coach with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. He's originally from Brinkley, Arkansas, where he was a former all state standout student athlete, graduating at the top of his class while serving as a senior class president. Herb later obtained his degree in education from Centenary College of Louisiana in Shreveport. During his tenure there, he led the Trans-America Athletic Conference in scoring and won the National Association of Basketball Coaches Slam Dunk Contest on ESPN. Throughout his travels to nearly 90 countries while entertaining as flight time, some of Herb's most memorable moments include meeting Pope Francis, President Obama, and appearing on numerous national television commercials and reality TV shows, most notably CBS's The Amazing Race. He currently resides in Ruskin, Florida with his wife, Elena. Herb is the proud father of three, Antonio, Nicholas, and Rhea Lang, and continues to make a difference through kindness in his life experiences, while he believes are the keys to maximizing what we get out of life. He is true believer in that we are all rich with love and kindness. Check the interview because it's fantastic. So really excited that we finally got this time together. It's just amazing. I have the pleasure to meet this amazing gentleman in a amazing mastermind. I'm just trying to put into words so many good things that have happened to me in the past 8 to 12 months. It's just amazing. And I'm really happy that Herbert is here, one of the first episodes of the podcast that we're launching now internationally recently with elite leadership, with the purpose that's to bring you what is the best to people. I believe to be an elite leader is not somebody that was born with the rights. It's somebody that conquered that, growing and giving back to society through different community services and corporations. So really being a world-class leader that support people, develop himself or herself, and develop other people. And absolutely, this is the way to be with Herbert right now. So welcome everyone. Welcome Herbert. Thank you so much to be here with me. I'm really happy to be here. And it's already a tradition for us. Who is Herbert Lang by Herbert himself? Please welcome.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Carlos, for allowing me to share on your platform. As you mentioned, I mean, a lot of things have been happening for me as well that have been pretty amazing over the past 8 to 12 months. And, having an opportunity now to share who I am and what I do on your platform is a gift, and I don't take it lightly. So a little bit about me. I am a former 18-year world famous Harlem Globetrotter player. I played for the Harlem Globetrotters from the years of 1999 through 2017, and throughout my career, I really had some amazing experiences. But ultimately, where that all started at was in a small town in Arkansas called Brinkley. It's a little bitty town that sits right between Little Rock, Arkansas, and Memphis, Tennessee, about an hour each way. And my mother had me at a young age. She had me at the age of 17 years old. By the time my mother
Wow.
turned 25, there were six of us. Things weren't always easy, and I've learned as I've traveled around the world, for as much as I think and feel and know that I had some struggles growing up, as I've traveled the world, I've realized that there's people who have had it, much tougher than I have. So it's given me a sense of gratitude, being able to reflect. But through it all, growing up in a small community where I grew up at, I had a lot of people that supported me. I had a lot of mentors, such as teachers, such as coaches, such as uh, people in church, ministers, and just great leaders within the community, as well as business people who I was able to have close relationships, and people who taught me the importance of treating people even better than one can be expected to be treated. And as a result of being influenced by so many good people, I worked really hard in school. I ended up getting a basketball scholarship. And for those who may be international, don't know what a scholarship is in the United States. So if you don't have a lot of money, oftentimes you can't go to school without scholarships. And for me, I was a person who had the correct mentorship. I had the work ethic to not only study hard, but also work hard in the sport that I was really passionate about, which happened to be basketball, earning me a basketball scholarship, allowing me to go to a college located in Shreveport, Louisiana, called Centenary College, where I was able to play basketball for 4 years, not only play, but excel, becoming one of the top basketball players in my conference, going on to win a national college slam dunk contest, which was televised on national television, which ultimately led to my career with the Harlem Globetrotters. And I just feel blessed, and I'm happy to share more about that with you. But in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me. I am 48 years old. I'm the father of three. I have a son who's 24. I have a son who's 19 who plays American football upstate New York at 𝐇𝐞𝐫𝐿 College, and a daughter who's a 17-year-old high school senior in Shreveport, Louisiana. My wife and I currently reside in between Sacramento, California, as well as the Tampa, Florida area. So I'm just a person who's been blessed to see the world, have some amazing experiences, and I love getting in front of people and just inspiring them and sharing my story, because the more that I realize I share my story, the more opportunity I have to inspire people, and the more people realize that whatever obstacles may be faced, it's easily an opportunity to turn these obstacles into opportunities.
That is amazing. Uh, when I first heard your story with the Jim Britt mastermind, it was really touching, because when we see people from the distance, especially somebody famous that get like in the glory of the world level, we have different expectations of what we see, and you have this kindness and this gentleness, and you're so humble when you speak. And I know you've met the Dalai Lama, presidents all over the world. I mean, you're just very important figure, and it's just so easy to talk to you. Just like, hey, buddy, what's up? Let's do this. That's awesome. So we could go many different ways, but I really want to talk about this main topic, that the main theme of today, this kindness is free. Tell us a little bit more about this movement that you created.
Well, Kindness is Free has been the story of my life. I wrote a book back in 2018 after my Globetrotter career ended. And the funny thing about the book is that over the course of 18 years, every time that I would come home off of a 4 to 5 month tour coming from different parts of the world, I would sit down and I would share with a lot of my friends, because they wanted to hear these stories because they're living vicariously through my travels. And I would just share them, with some of the stories of things that I experienced during my travels. And after every year, I'd have friends that say, "Man, you should write a book. You should write a book. People need to hear about this." And so my career actually came to an end. I had a time to sit down and reflect and realize how fortunate I had been to experience many of the experience that I had and meet the people that I, met around the world. And again, for me, it started out when I was a young boy growing up in Arkansas. I think about my grandmother, who didn't always have all the necessities or all the wants that one may desire in life, but she was just a good person who I often followed behind, walking around our town. And she checked on elderly people. many times at no cost, just to make sure that people were good because she cared about human beings. And it just taught me a lot. I went into homes of people who had an abundance of wealth. I went into homes of people who had, barely had any electricity in their homes. But at the end of the day, she treated everybody the same. And my experience traveling around the world magnified that even more. And as I began to travel around the world, more so probably when my Globetrotter career started, I began to realize that around the world when we travel, we actually have more in common than we think. I realized that many of the things, especially the negative things that we're taught, are things that are passed down. And I think it's important for us to break these stigmas and go out and develop on our own. One of the things I'm very adamant about is get a passport. When I first traveled abroad, the first countries that I visited were I visited Belgium, I visited France, and I visited Germany. And the things I'd heard about Germany over the course of my young life were things that, kind of put fear into my heart. But at the same time, being able to go and set foot in some of these places on my own and experience the people, I began to realize that, again, that we have more in common than we imagined. And kindness is the thing that stood out over everything. And as I began to really, really enjoy my ambassadorship of being goodwill, because as Harlem Globetrotters, we are considered ambassadors of goodwill, I really began to understand what that really meant. And I began to make friends. I began to make friends with people who I could barely even communicate with. I mean, not even speaking the same language, but being able to be demonstrative, even attempt to speak some of the different languages. People appreciated that. And what I developed over the course of my career was bonds with people from all different parts of the world. And being able to travel to almost 90 different countries around the world, people looked out for me. People took care of me. People looked forward to the next time that we would get to see each other for that next tour that could be a year from now or 2 years from now. But ultimately, at the core of it, traveling around the world, I just learned that people are kind if we give them a chance. And if we treat people even better than we can expect to be treated, we'll get the same thing in return. And it's not necessarily even that we'll get the same thing in return, but being able to just love on people and form your own opinions is something that I feel very strongly about. And I feel like it's a blessing, to have had these experiences. And all of the reasons why I love going around and speaking and sharing is because I feel like the gifts that I've been given, be it athletic, be it mental, or being, able to connect, I feel like it's a sin, to God in the universe if I don't share these experiences with so many other people so they can help shape and mold their, unbiased, so to speak, opinions.
Wow, that's a master class in life right there. I got so many things that I want to ask you about, but whenever I hear you and that happened again, just like it's so profound, and the way you say in a natural way, and I know you mean that from the heart. And again, it's just hard to find somebody that had access to so many things to actually speak at that level. So you're definitely a great soul. Really, thanks for sharing this. Now,
Yeah.
I want to get a little bit of your insight on this because I know you have the privilege to work with a lot of people, different countries, different walks of life. But I know that there was what you said before, the things that you learned, the goodwill, right, ambassadors and the Globetrotters. But I understand that was not only like the personal emotional side, but it was also the technical side and the practice and the discipline and the things that you have to do, right? So what are some of the key things that you learned at that period of time that you carried away with you, and I mean, and you preserve with you, that's still with you, things that you learned at that time that are still important to you?
Well, I really think one of the most important lessons I've learned in my life is the importance of gratitude. My father's he's a minister. My grandmother, she was really religious. I'm not a person that believes in just pouring religion onto people. I believe that we all grow up in different parts of the world and we all need different ideologies and things to survive. But ultimately, at the core of it, we have to have something to look forward to. And for me, growing up, being able to put in the work, understanding and seeing people put in work and seeing the rewards and the better lives they've been able to create for themselves, for me was very important. When you talk about and you ask me about kindness is free, it doesn't cost us really anything to treat people nice, to give people compliments. And when you do these things in a way that is different than and unique than a lot of people were taught. It's something special. I mean, ultimately, I believe that kindness is what will change the world, what will make the world a better place. And when you talk about the technical things, it's about repetition. It's about having routine. It's about having consistency. It's about finding something that you truly believe in. It's about discovering the gifts that God and the universe has given you. And some of these gifts are natural born, but some of these gifts you actually have to work toward. And I feel like for me, I was born with some naturally athletic gifts where there were certain things in athletics that I didn't have to work as hard at, but at the same time, when it came down to the technical skill part of things, yeah, I had to work hard. I had to shoot a bunch of shots to be able to make shots. I had to do a lot of squats to be able to jump as high as I was able to jump. I had to study extra hard to be able to make the grades that I made, but it took that determination. It took that routine. It took that understanding that on the other side, there is something even better and more powerful for me, and the ability to make impact is something that I probably discovered even more after my Harlem Globetrotter career was over with. And I just truly believe that when you're in a certain position, be it for a year, be it for 5 years, 15 or 20, it's important that you learn as much as you can about what you're in, because ultimately, if that comes to an end, you have all the tools, you have the blueprint to be able to repeat whatever success that you were able to achieve within a certain field. And that's exactly, what I'm doing right now. I am repeating all the things that I learned during my Globetrotter career, the importance of branding, the importance of, being an ambassador. And being an ambassador is bringing people together, because I also realized that if there's nothing that we've learned, probably, I think, over the last 5 years, is that we're more connected in this world that we think. And what happens in one country or what happens, at our neighbor's house, it affects us. It affects us in our pocketbooks. It affects us in our mental state of mind. And I think
Yeah.
that we have to be really cognizant of the things that are happening, and just be more vigilant and resilient in making sure that we're not only looking out for ourselves, but we're looking out for the future generations to come. Because the people that came before us, they did a lot of sacrificing. The people that came before us, to be able to to live in the world of technology that we live in, there was a lot of trial and error. And that's what we're
Yeah.
doing right now. We're actually trial and error in things right now, so that our kids will be able to have a better life. And it's something that I'm very happy to be a part of. I feel blessed to be what I consider an ambassador to the world, because that's exactly why I feel I was able to travel to these many different countries at the same time, being able to put smiles on people's faces with whom I couldn't necessarily even speak the same language with.
Wow. Um, it's just so impactful again. It's so impactful. I'm getting speechless, and I typically speak a lot, talk a lot. Okay, let's get back on track here. Whenever you're developing new things or you're challenging yourself to doing things, how you deal with rejection from other people, or even perhaps a more precise question. You're just always bringing this kindness and this goodness to the world. How you deal with people that are unkind, people that are, they don't buy the idea of being nice because nice is good by itself.
Well, Carlos, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question. It's something I was having a discussion with a friend of mine just a few days ago. When it comes to rejection or getting those no's, for me, I think about my sports career. In high school, I took a lot of wins in the sport of basketball, playing football. We won a lot of games, but we also had some losses. But I had more wins than I had losses. And then as I fast forward, I think about my college basketball career. I played 4 years of college basketball, and every year we had a losing season. We had 4 years of losing. But one thing that happened at the end of my college basketball career was an opportunity to go on the national stage and represent my college in what was the National College Slam Dunk Contest. And coming from the smallest Division I NCAA school in the country, I was able to win that dunk contest and actually give, my school a sense of victory in a sport, for once over the course of 4 years. It was like our national championship. And so what that led to was the Harlem Globetrotters. The people know the Globetrotters. They know that it's the greatest sports, show on earth, the greatest basketball show on earth. And over the course of 18 years going out and competing and entertaining, Carlos, I never lost. I won every
Wow.
time. So it was, if you think about it, it's winning It's losing for an a period of time. It's winning again. And my career ended. My career ended in 2017. And what did I have? I had a wealth of knowledge. I had a wealth of experience. But now I had to refocus. I had to figure out, what does Herb get to do next? What did I learn over the course of 18 years that I now get to implement into my life moving forward? So one of the things that I did when I first retired, I went out and drove Lyft and Uber for about a year. And what this gave
Wow.
me was the ability to reconnect with people. It made me realize how fortunate I was, because it wasn't easy in the beginning, accepting the fact that my career was over with. I had been
I
getting
imagine.
yes, 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 but to actually sit down in the car and drive people around and listen to, some of the concerns that they had and the experiences that they had not had, it just made me realize that, what am I complaining about? I have all this knowledge and I get to apply it. So what I decided to do was, I went and studied for about 10 days straight. I went and took the health and life insurance exam here in California, and I became a health and life insurance agent. And so what that
Wow.
happened, what that turned into was cold calling, calling people that you didn't know, going and knocking on people's doors that you didn't know, trying to sell them insurance. And I got a lot of no's. So if I rewind this, for you, Carlos, high school basketball wins, college loss, Globetrotters wins, life insurance after Globetrotter, a lot of no's. But what I realized is that when I got the yes, I felt so liberated. It felt like victory. And what I learned from the no's is that sometimes no just means you're that much closer to, getting that yes. And what I've experienced over the last 7 years is, I've experienced a lot of no's, but over the past couple of years, those no's have become even more yes. I stopped selling insurance after about a year into it, and I've decided to go into my passion, which was, being a motivational speaker, which was entrepreneurship, which was things that I learned again during the Globetrotters, which was being ambassador, which was branding myself and, putting something out there that would resonate out not only with me, but with people from different parts of the world. I think it's important, as far as legacy for my children and my wife, that I leave something, not just my name, but a saying, a quote, a brand, that's something that'll live on far beyond, my days. And so for me, life is full of ups and downs. And I feel like everything that happens in my life, it happens for me. It's not happening to me. And whatever happens to me, I get to explain to people that this life is not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. You're going to take some wins. You're going to take some losses, but oftentimes it's survival of the fittest. It's how you respond to these losses that determine the person that you get to be. The resilience that you show toward people inspires other people, because we're all experiencing wins and losses, and some people don't know how to deal with them. Some people give up at these points, and I'm a person that refuses to give up. I'm a person that wants the best for everybody, not just me. And the things that I do in my life, and the committees that I serve on, it's all about bringing people together. And for me, I feel like that's my life's mission, and I'll keep on going. I'll keep on taking the wins. I'll keep on learning from the losses, but I'll continue to trying to be the best person that I get to be for the time that I get to live here on earth.
Wow. Um, I'm hearing you, and kind of making this is like the set of skills, the skill set that you have developed over your time, and now, as entrepreneur, doing speaking engagement, and it's another continuous way to continue to learn. And as you know, I mean, one of the main foundations of this podcast is talk about leadership, and I believe, and the first leadership starts self-leading, just leading oneself first. And you pretty much have demonstrated this in your entire life, right? Now, when you think about leading others, inspiring others, you gave a lot of lessons with examples in your life. You have like resilience mindset, keep on learning, keep on improving, getting from no to yes, and doing things in a different way, being positive, of course, super kind and gentle with people, and treating people even better than they expect to be treated. It's just amazing. What else you would add to what makes a leader or good leadership? Based on your experience and leaders that you have known, and how you lead your own company, your consulting company, and the way you do things. I mean, what would you add as other skills for great leadership?
I'm glad you asked that question too, Carlos. I mean, you're knocking them out. When it comes to leadership, I feel like it's important. I feel like it's important that you are able to understand the people that you are leading. Oftentimes I learn, and I've been taught, by different leaders that don't get too close to your employees, or don't get too close to the people that you are on a team with, so to speak. And that's not something that I believe in. I think that it's important for a leader to start in the back of the room, first of all. Oftentimes, some people are just handed that leadership to be the boss. They don't even have any work. But for
Right.
me, I've always kind of become a leader by starting out in the back of the room, observing, working my way slowly to the front of the room. Over the course of 18 years being a Globetrotter, the last 2 years of my career, I was a coach and a player. Into my third or fourth year, I became one of the captains of the team. But one of the things that one of my college coaches, he taught me that resonate with me today, when it comes to leadership and it comes to coaching, you can't necessarily lead or coach everybody the same. When you develop a relationship with people, you better understand them. You better understand what makes them move, what motivates them, what gets them going. Some people need you to, pat them on the back, say, good job. Some people don't need that. It's a matter of you understanding what that looks like. And I also think that a good leader is somebody who's willing to do the work. A good leader is somebody who's not just sitting back saying, do X, Y, and Z, but actually is willing to go out into the field and actually put in that same work sometimes and work hand in hand with those employees or those people who are looking up to you to lead them in a positive direction. And I'll give you an example. Again, when I was touring, sometimes we would get to different countries, sometimes we would get to different cities, and as professional athletes, we're a little bit spoiled. We're used to people waiting on us, hand and foot. And sometimes we would get to the airports and they wouldn't have the people there to grab our bags or load the buses. For me, hey, we're human. The people that are going to put our equipment on the bus, they're human too. So in order for us to move on and progress and get to where we need to be from point A to point B faster, let's grab these bags, let's throw them on the bus, and let's get moving. When did you become too good to grab your own luggage? When did you become, too good to go and get your own food? So I feel like leadership, it starts with the people up top being willing to do the work that you are requiring of others. And a good leader is a person that gets to know the people that are working for them. So for me, leadership is leading by example.
Excellent. Excellent. I fully agree on what you said, and I totally get when some people, even some big influencers, say that you shouldn't be too close to the team, and I totally agree with you. And just you have to be as close as possible. And I'm firmly believer also in putting people first. Of course, when you're in a for-profit organization, right? I mean, you just have to generate profit at the end of the year. Of course, you have to focus on results, but you always have to put people first. Because
Well,
businesses
even
are, yeah,
Yeah, well, even with with for profits, when you're able to create a good workplace environment, I mean, true enough. I mean, sometimes you do have to, put your foot down when people tend to fall behind. But when you create a good environment where people are excited about coming to work, there's a way that you can lead people where they want to do well for you. They don't want to disappoint you because they know the work that you put in. They know the compassion that you have for them. They know that you realize that we are all human at the end of the day. So, again, like you say, bottom line is often something that companies and organizations are gung ho about. But I think also a lot of companies and organizations have lost, that human touch in this AI world. Human
yeah,
intelligence and that human factor will always be more important than anything. Even when we talk about the connection that we have via now these different means of actually seeing each other, the Zooms, the Google Meets, the LinkedIn's, to be able to connect with people virtually often leads to be able to meet people in person. The connection can be started right here, but at the end of the day, we're human. We're human.
yes.
Technology has taken over, but this technology was created by the universe and humans. So humans understand, what it's like. I mean, I love when I go to different events, when I go and speak, when I go speak at elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, businesses, corporations. I feel like it's important to do more than just show up. I feel like it's important to, to love on people, regardless of COVID or whatever sickness, to be able to, shake somebody's hand, to look them in the eye, to give them a hug, and squeeze them real tight and let them know no matter what success you've had that you're human. It just reminds me, the other day I had a phone call with a young man. I'd never met him before. He was from Israel. He lives in San Diego, and he asked me. He said, why would someone as successful and as world traveled and as famous as you actually take the time out and have a phone call with me? And I said to him, I said, you're human. I'm human. You have parents, you have grandparents, just like I do. I didn't always have this success that I've been able to achieve over the course of time. And every human is worth having a decent conversation with. If it's not something that you and I can collaborate on, maybe I can point you in a direction towards someone who will help you grow. So for me to have a conversation with you, I appreciate you just as much having a conversation for me. Not just encourage them, just treat people, with respect, but don't really look at a person as being above you or beneath you, but look at people as being an equal. So that's why it's easy for me to have conversations with, random people. And that's also something that I learned from traveling to different countries around the world. Again, I said it before, all these countries I traveled to, anything could have happened to me. There's a lot of bad things that could have happened. But when you go in with a certain level of intention, a certain level of expectation, and a certain level of gratitude, the universe often, works in your favor.
Yeah, I found that true as well. That's really amazing. Really like the way you think. Just give me more interesting insights here as we go. I have a few more questions, but before I go to the next set of questions, I would like you to share, if you're so kind, how people can get in contact with you, can know more about the movement, how they can hire you for a speaking engagement. How can get a hold of you?
Well, Carlos, I'm very active on social media. I'm really active on Instagram. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Facebook. I have a Facebook business page. I have a Facebook personal page. Just follow me. I mean, if you follow me, you'll often see that I'm putting messages out there that are pretty non-discriminatory. I'm able to see things from all different points of view. I'm able to understand, the way people think from different walks of life. And I think that's just by being around, so many different people and traveling to so many different countries. But, look me up on LinkedIn, look me up on my website. My website is IamHerbLang.com. I also have merchandise, available that says kindness is free. And as you see behind me, you see kindness is free. And again, that's something that I learned with the Globetrotters, the importance of branding. And I want people to remember me for being a good human. And as I started this kindness movement, 7 or 8 years ago, what I began to realize is that when people see things that are relative to kindness, whether it's a poster on a billboard, whether it's a poster walking through the airport, whether it's a poster at a school, people actually now will take pictures and send it to me and say, hey, Herb, I saw this quote, I saw this billboard, and I thought about you. You know what that means? That means that I'm doing something that's really great. And it inspires me. It gives me that gas to keep on going, to be affiliated, to be known, as kindness. I mean, it's bigger than the 18 years that I was with the Globetrotters. It's bigger than me winning, the college dunk contest. It's bigger than me even following my kids, because I know that I'm living a legacy in which they get to follow in, and I'm living a legacy in which, generations to come will be listening to me the same way they listen to, today, the Wayne Dyers and the Les Browns and all these other different people whose voices will be heard long beyond our years on this earth. So if you want to get in contact with me, those are the easiest ways. Again, my website, IamHerbLang.com. I'm on social media at DATrotter4. Or better yet, they can just reach out to you, Carlos. You know how to get in contact with me.
Of course. That's awesome, my man. It's just so good to hear you speaking, and you don't have any doubt about it. I mean, you'll be remembered much longer.
Carlos, we have to get out and see the world, man. And I just want to share one more quick experience before you get to your next question. I know that you are down there in Brazil. Fortunate enough for me, I was able to play. There was a Globetrotter that I played with down in Brazil. His name was Jefferson Sobra. I'm not sure how popular he is down there, but man, he was a super athletic guy. He was a great shooter. I also had a chance to go to Brazil for the first time on a reality show called The Amazing Race. The Amazing Race is a show where you race around the world for an opportunity to win $1 million. And I had an opportunity to do that 3 times. And again, when we talk about wins and losses, I lost all 3 times. The closest I came to win was on the final leg of season 18 of The Amazing Race. We actually flew from on the 11th leg. We flew from Miami, from Brazil to Miami, and unfortunately, but fortunately, my partner and my teammate and I, we came in second place. But again, it's about travel, and it's not always about wins and losses. After we lost that season, they brought us back again. So again, like I say, sometimes even when you lose, you still win. Another example, I remember when the
Nice.
Olympics came around in 2016. Many people may remember the Zika virus was out, and people around here in the United States and around the world were saying, "Don't go to Brazil, Zika, Zika this." Guess what I did, Carlos? It was my 40th birthday. I got me a roller bag, I got my backpack, I bought me a plane ticket, and I went down to the 2016 Olympics there in Brazil, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And if I had listened to all of the propaganda that was on TV about, this disease and how dangerous it was in Brazil, I wouldn't have these experiences. So I just want to encourage people, get out and form your own opinion. Don't believe everything that you see on television. I'm not saying don't pay attention, because I pay attention to all of it. But when I really start to pay attention from listening to all the news outlets and reading all the articles, when I really start to pay attention is when they all start saying the same thing. But I just think that it's really, really important that we get out, we form our own opinions, and we share our opinions in a way that other people are able to receive it, in a way that other people can really see that you're not biased and they really want the best for you.
Outstanding. Yeah, was actually one of the things that I was going to ask you. With the amazing trips that you have done and such a good experience you have in the world, if you could tell some story, and you just did. But I have more questions for you, so don't run away yet. So one of the things that I wanted to know is, I mean, you're an athlete, and of course you still want shape, even though you're not working specifically with that. What to do, what is your routine or habits or good practices that you do to continue to be in shape? And not only physically, but with the mindset so open and so it's clear vision.
Carlos, one of the things that being an athlete taught me was discipline. And discipline leads to, in order to have discipline, you have to develop routines. And for me, it started at a young age. There were a few gentlemen in my town who ended up getting these scholarships that I mentioned. And one of the things I noticed about a couple of these gentlemen when I was, a teenager is that in my small town, it's easy to kind of pay attention and see what's going on. A couple of these guys who I looked up to, I would see them out at the track running when there was nobody else out there running. I would see them at the park getting shots up when nobody else was getting shots up. And this resonated with me. It turned into me doing exactly what they were doing. It was me going out to the track, running bleachers or running a mile, which seemed like when I was 12 years old, seemed like an eternity. But it was me
Wow.
willing to make that sacrifice and go out there and do it at a young age, to be able to enjoy some of the things I get to enjoy now. Leading to where I am right now, routine is still very, very important, to me. So when I talk about a routine per se, it means me getting up in the morning, first of all, giving thanks to universe or whatever God that you pray to or believe in, which I have no problem with. I love and respect all people, but it's a matter of giving gratitude. And then it leads to about a 10 to 15-minute meditation. Okay. And that is me visualizing the day that I'm going to have, the day that I'm going to create for myself. After that meditation, it usually leads into about a 2 to 3 mile walk. And at that point, I feel like, hey, I got my cardio up. And if I decide to at this point, that leads to some, some working out, which could be some weightlifting. It could be some, simple push-ups or body squats. I mean, I'm a person that works out throughout the day, Carlos. After I get off this call with you, I'll probably step over to the side, do about 15 body squats. I'll do 25 push-ups. I'll do 25 curls. So imagine if you break this off into about 4 times a day, you've done
Wow.
150 push-ups. You've done 100 curls without even really thinking about it throughout the course of the day. So I feel like it's just important to develop a routine. Once you develop a routine, it becomes a habit, and habits lead to success. Success is built on habits. And if you can turn these habits into good habits that lead to positive outcomes, what do you know? You have a good mind, you have a healthy body, and you have the proof is in the pudding, and people are able to look at you and actually believe you. Because again, like a good leader, you have to be able to show people, the work that you're putting in and show them the results. As a health and physical education major myself, I feel like it's important. If I'm going to talk to you about the importance, of being healthy and having a good routine, I can't show up out of shape. I can't show up not appearing the part. So I feel like you have to have a good routine. You have to be
Yeah,
able to do the work and put in the work that you are demanding, from other people.
that's excellent. I really love that. And even though I knew this a long time, it took some time for me to actually get real on this and actually building these routines and keeping up with. And just putting my own excuse in this. And right now I'm 50 years old and probably in the best shape of my life. I'm better than when I was 40. And my plan is to be even better when I'm 60, right? I want to be able to play with my grandsons if I have it there to be in the floor, right? So that's one thing that motivates me, and really like this what you're saying, because it's another positive reinforcement, of course, not for me, but for everybody that's listening and seeing this. So thanks again for that. The other thing I want you to think out aloud here with us is just what do you believe is the main blocking thing for people to become kind, right? I mean, I know you just said about being kind to people and focus on gratitude, but why you see, when your experience, what makes people so grumpy? Some people just try to focus, not try to, but end up focusing a lot on the negative side, on the shadows instead of looking at light and the things that are happening. You just said instead of focusing on the bad things, you just see there's good things from the losses, right? And I get this mindset as well. I work on this that way as well. But in your particular experiences, what do you believe is what blocks people from just growing up, from developing themselves, and just closing down? What's your take on this?
Well, Carlos, I think there's a couple of factors that go into that question as to why people are grumpy and refuse to be kind. I mean, I think, first of all, I think it's passed down from generation to generation. I think that it's something that has been passed down. And to be honest with you, even in my experience, there's people in my family that haven't always been kind. They haven't always been positive. They haven't always looked at, the opposite race or the physical characteristics of a person as being human. And I think, again, for me, it's been travel that allowed me to see different. But I think it's important that we begin to teach our generation in a different type of way. As much as I respect and I've learned so much from, parents and grandparents, they weren't always right. You know, they were wrong. They were having a life experience. They were learning. I am lucky enough to have a mindset to be able to understand that and be able to form my own opinions. Another factor is, I'd say, media. Media is something that has grown, and it's become, it's for as good as it is as far as spreading knowledge. I also think it's a crutch, because oftentimes, when you begin to look at media, the thing that sells and the things that's shared the most and posted the most are things and ideas that are negative. So if we can, reshape the way that media is, and I'm not saying that we don't need to put some of the stuff out there. I'm just saying that some of these ideologies that are put out there by media, we need to put a little bit more emphasis on spreading highlights on things that and ideas that people are doing that are positive. And I also think the stigma of, going to get therapy. I grew up in an era in my racial ethnic background where people would say, if you're going to get therapy or if you're going to see a shrink or something like that, then you must be crazy or something's wrong with you. And for me, I believed that for a long time. But as a person after retiring from the Globetrotters and going through some, times of depression and really trying to figure out what was next, therapy was the thing and has been, the main source of me being able to overcome. So, I think that it's important that we be able to sit down with people who are willing to call us out on our faults, a person who is willing to hold us accountable. And I think if we're able to accept some of these these ideas and take responsibility for some of these thoughts and some of these ideologies that have been passed down to some of us. I know for a fact because it's worked for me. I know that we can continue to make progress in this world, and this world will be, a great place, not only for future generations to come, but for when we get to come back around again.
Excellent. That's nice. Um, what is the next challenge for Fly Time Lang? What's you're looking for in the future that say this is gonna be nice to tackle this big project? You have something like that going?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I do, I serve on the National Basketball Retired Players Association. I also formed a Facebook group several years ago for many of my former Globetrotter employees to be able to come together. So for me, just being able to create opportunities for young women and young men who still have the ability to have positive impacts on people around the world, that's something that I'm very passionate about, and that I'm working on. Also, I have a collaboration with a really, really good friend of mine whose name is Amanda Banks. She's a fellow TEDx speaker like myself. She's also a TEDx organizer, which I was able to MC her event back last summer. And Amanda and I have put together a workshop for leaders and corporations called The Art of Human Connectedness.
Wow.
And in this workshop, we want to bring and facilitate, small or large groups of people, the importance of connecting with people. Like I talked about, you have to be able to develop relationships with people. We wanted to be able to develop the next positive leaders, of the world. And I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot that I'm working on, Carlos. I'm also involved with a company called Anyway Pay. Anyway Pay is changing the way that we accept money. We have all these different platforms now. We have PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. We got Bitcoin. And oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, people say, "Well, how can I pay you?" Maybe it's not always that traditional credit card way. You have these different payment methods, and so we've developed a company. I'm the chief brand ambassador. We have, a link and a barcode that basically says, "How do you want to pay me?" Click the link. You decide how you want to pay me. So
Wow.
it's a startup. It's a startup tech company. We're in a Series A round of raising, and I'm excited about it. I feel like it's important that we branch ourselves out there. It's important that we don't put all of our eggs in one basket, because you know what happens when that happens. But there's also a saying that I learned with that. A young man, not a young man, a gentleman, the other day, I was at a venture capital event down in San Francisco watching the Super Bowl. And I gave him that quote, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." And he said to me, "Well, Mark Twain said, it's okay if you put all your eggs in one basket. You just have to watch that basket really, really close." But I just believe that it's important that we continue to grow, we continue to learn. There's so much information out there via technology, via books, via social media, and I feel like it's important that we're able to process, we're able to learn from it, and we take what we can learn and use it to the best of our ability.
Outstanding. Well, I'm abundantly happy here, joyful with this experience. I really thank you for your generosity of your time and your wisdom. And I know that the audience is just loving this. I finish myself now, but I would love to hear your final message so we close this episode of this podcast, because I can hear you for hours, but unfortunately, time is constrained and limited. So thanks a lot. Thank you very much from my heart to yours, from a human being to another human being. Thanks to the audience for being present and listening and commenting this. And please finish up for us.
Thank you, Carlos. I mean, I just want to say that, again, I say kindness is free. Kindness generally doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't cost you anything if you have a voice, to be able to give someone a compliment. It doesn't cost you anything to make a recommendation. It doesn't cost you anything to support an idea or belief that you strongly reside with, or that resides with you. And that could be a comment on a social media post via LinkedIn, or via Instagram, or whatever source of newsworthy spaces that you choose to use. But I just want to tell people, man, use your gifts. We all have certain gifts, and those gifts allow us to be able to connect with each other. And I feel like This is one of my gifts right here, this basketball. Oftentimes people, they wonder about this basketball, and I'm able to do some pretty amazing things with this basketball. This basketball gets me in the door to be able to actually share the messages that I want to share. And being able to do things like this, with that basketball, it opens people's hearts up. And so for me, I just say use your gifts. Use your gifts. Don't let them go to waste. That's a sin. Kindness is free, spread it with abundance, knowing that you'll get it back tenfold. And that's all I got to say, Carlos, man. Let's make this world a better place. Me and you can do it, and the people that are listening get to do it as well. So give me an opportunity. Let me come and love on you guys. Let me help you guys, whatever it is you need in creating the next leaders around the world. I'm here for it. It's a part of my mission. I'm passionate about it. And wherever you're listening to around the world, make sure you do something today positive. Love on somebody and remind them that kindness is free.